The time is exactly 9:39. News and views on Salon Media, and we're now going to be looking at the issue around breaking down key challenges impacting the Matric results and the future of South Africa's education system with PhD candidate Ecology at Northwest University, and that of course is you, Thabo Malibo. A very, very good morning to you. Welcome to the program. Lovely to have you here. And people might be wondering, why am I talking with you, a PhD candidate, Ecology, regarding the Matric results? But the reason being, of course, you come from a teaching background. You taught grade 9 maths and NS, grade 10, 11 and 12 life sciences, and you also used to be actively involved with Eskom Youth Scientists Expo. So very illustrious CV there, I might add. Lovely to have you on the show, and let's kick off right away with a key question, and that is what do you believe is the biggest challenges currently facing the South African educational system?
Okay, thanks, Julie, and good day to your viewers wherever they are watching. First and foremost, the approach to the challenges that are facing our education system need a model. And then for me, there are many models, and then there's a lot of information already on the public domain about the challenges in education. But then the model that I want us to look at this challenge at, a specific model, is what is referred to as the Gaussian distribution curve. Now, with the Gaussian distribution curve, to explain it very quickly, it has its peak at 50%. It started at 0, 50% and 100%. Now, when its peak is at 50%, it implies everything is normal. The type of challenges that we are looking at that are normal. Now, using this model to address the educational challenges, especially at school and globally, for that matter, we'll notice that our education system problems are normally are not at the 50 or don't satisfy the normal distribution curve. They are what we say our problem with education are skewed to the left. Now, on the left is
Thabo's
75% of the curve. Remember, I said 0 to 100. Yes, remember I said from 0 to 100%. So the current problems that we are facing now using this model are skewed to the left. Now, skewed to the left.
Yeah, let me come in here. Yes. All right, let me come in here. There's a lot of issues. You're talking about this curve, which probably not very many people are aware of. But I should imagine that a whole host of issues that contributes to the curve being skewed to the left. It could be issues around maybe rural schools, township schools, not perhaps being on par with Model C schools and private schools in our country. Where and how does technology play a role here? Where and how does English, supposedly being the first language of instruction in our schools, play a role? Because we do know that our preschoolers, possibly in a lot of instances, are not au fait with the English language. So there are huge obstacles when we look at this curve. And how is that going to be addressed?
Yes, yeah. Now, using this model and this curve, and thanks for highlighting some of the issues. We can also use what was recently published also from Northwest University by Milton. She uses the approach of the first and foremost challenges facing the learners, challenges faces the teachers, and challenges that we refer to as indirect approach. Now that you mentioned, first and foremost, when you look at challenges that are facing learners, there are many. To mention but few, or to quickly mention but few, first and foremost is child violence as one of them that fall under the learners. You also have low moral values, and thirdly, you also have high dropout rates, and you also have late coming and absenteeism and truancy under the learners. Now, when we come to teachers, challenges that are facing teachers, now I'm saying we need to look at all stakeholders that are involved in educations that are affected by these challenges. Now, when you look at teachers, there are many challenges that are facing teachers. But then I want us to look at the teachers' qualities. As a teacher, I was always told by some of the colleagues that there are two things about teachers. There are teachers that are called. There are people who to them teaching is a calling. Now, these are the type of people tailoring when there are challenges, they are able to turn challenges into solutions. They see opportunities in their challenges. And there's this second group of teachers that are not necessarily called. Now, example being, when we go to universities and study different programs, there are people that didn't apply or that didn't have passion for education, who, for example, were applying for law and then they were not admitted there, or medicine and all other disciplines that you face at a university. Now, this group falls under, when they are not admitted in those streams, they take teaching as their escape route. Or
Absolutely.
you see that. Now, these
Yes.
are the teachers that are also a problem on the second type of challenges that I faced. Now,
Thabo, I need to
with
come
regard
in
to the
here.
quality.
Because of time constraints, I need to come in here. We've mentioned the learners and their challenges. We've mentioned teachers as well. But I think
Now,
a very important element in this situation are the parents, because a lot of the parents then they shirk off their responsibility in the support of the learner when the learner comes home from school. They can't
yes,
expect the teachers to be doing everything. They
yes,
believe when I send my child to school, the teacher has to fix a problem child, which is not fair at all, because the problem is started in the home. You've
yes,
spoken about dropouts. We've spoken about issues around um, school pregnancies. That's one of the
yes,
big reasons for dropouts as well. So there
yes,
are so many factors impacting on our children at school. I think it's quite exhausting and overwhelming.
yeah.
Where and how do you see solutions to all of these enormous problems as far as our school going children are concerned?
Okay, now quite interesting. On the last set of challenges, I said lack of support or lack on the last indirect challenges with regard to teachers. There's this thing that we call lack of community support. You mentioned parents, and then we also have politics in schools, and then we also have corruption and socio-economic challenges. Now, this is the largest group of challenges that we are facing. Now, the issue of parents and parents' relationships with learners there, it has three different groups. Now, remember the schools now that you are looking at. I'm not saying all the schools have challenges. Remember, we have quintile 5 schools, we have quintile 4 schools that are doing well. And we also have this very same quintile 1 schools that are doing well. Remember, in the past, we used to study under a tree. Our parents used to study under a tree with no resources, with no infrastructures, with a lot of socio-economic issues. But then because of the type of teachers that I told you, the ones that are called for their duty, a teacher was a material, was a textbook, and then at the same time, the attitude of learners, they were hungry for learning, they were hungry for education. But the type
Okay,
of learners that we have now is
yes.
something else.
Yeah, I kind of wonder about globalization, brand consciousness, capitalism, all of those issues which impact on our children.
Yes.
Also, obviously, would impact on how they view the schooling system and whether they're going to be embrace it or not. In this world of technology, how much of a role does that play? Are our children prepared to and willing to embrace technology, or is it still about a chalkboard with chalk as far as learning is concerned?
Okay, our children are well on the issue of post-industrial revolution. It has its challenges and it has its success. Now, our children are active in the digital technology that we have now because they're always on Facebook. They are always they are always using technology, but not for the right reasons. Now it is our duty, I mean, as
Absolutely.
parents and as teachers and as all stakeholders, to actually invest or sort of pay attention to these children with regard to their attitude and reminding them what is important and reminding them of their goals. Already, our country is one of the worst performing country in terms of unbalanced systems of government. So I don't want to go to that. But with regard of our learners, compared to pre-94 learners when morality used to hold sway in our country, nowadays we have challenges with attitude. I'll reduce to attitude. Now with regard to technology, now I want us to look at rural schools or the schools that are actually facing problems. Like I said, I'm not going to focus on schools that are doing well already. Now, there's support from government, and then there are support from private institutions that are actively involved in helping Pantalwine schools that don't have the resources. Now, now the challenge that I experienced when I was working as a teacher back in the day, I noticed that in as much as private sectors assist, and in as much as principals at schools are willing to assist, these types of technology that is available at school is not normally accessible to learners. Now, I want to be
Ah,
brutal about this. I want to be brutal about this. Access to technology, especially in rural schools, is generally denied learners. You find teachers saving their WhatsApp, and you find teachers doing irrelevant things there when when they are supposed to give learners access to this. I know that I'm getting to hot waters in this, as I was one of them. You know, they don't give learners, and then based on school policies, ne, and then based on what schools experiences, especially the ones that I was working with, and the one I was exposed to, uh, uh, there was issue in quite a school. There was issues of crime, and if there's an issue of crime, there's also an issue of thieving. So there was a lot of issues with regard to telling learners to bring their gadgets, especially phones, to schools, and then especially schools that didn't have the privilege of being provided tablets. I'm aware that the Department of Education and other stakeholders were donating technologically savvy tools to schools. Ne? But now the challenge is that with schools that are high in crime or schools that are most unstable, that is an issue with that. But now, what I would like to encourage to, especially our dear principals, is to come up with a way of making this technology accessible, especially for practical courses like life sciences, where you'll not want to spend a lot of time, which is the challenges that I also have. You'll not want to spend time in the old system where we used to focus on the chalk and its chalkboard. There are many ways of saving time. I'm not saying spending time,
okay,
which is
sorry. I'm going to have
yes.
to interrupt. My next guest is standing by. My final question to you is, how effective do you think the current curriculum is preparing students for the workforce or higher education, given that the Department of Education has pegged the pass rate at 30% rather than 50% and above?
Well, I'm gonna be brutally honest with you again, Julie. Our education system where it stands, I personally am not happy about it. I mean, South Africa in Africa. South Africa is the beacon of Africa. And then taking, for example, with Zimbabwe, it faces a lot of socio-economic challenges. But when it comes to education, they are brilliant. And we've seen the performance of Zimbabweans, and especially in higher learning, in institutions of higher learning. You understand? In institutions of
Absolutely.
higher learning. Now, with regard to South Africa, we have high dropout rates in terms of higher learning because our education didn't prepare us well. And then when we finish our matric, we are not ready to enter the ocean of academic because of lack of preparedness that we encountered when we were at school, and especially a quintile one school. So for you to be able to rise above the water or to get the hot waters we normally find ourselves is when we are at a tertiary, it has got a lot to do with preparedness, especially in quintile one school, because most of us they were generally spoon fed, and I'm not sure if that is a good or a bad thing. From which are some of the things that were inherited from the old system. You-
Okay, I'm going to have to leave it there, unfortunately, but I guess the bottom line, and I'm sure you agree with me, is our education department needs an overhaul. Our school going kids need a lot of support and encouragement. And when you talk about dropout rates in higher learning institutions, indicates the unpreparedness of our learners at high institutions of learning. It also indicates the absolutely poor quality of the system of education, and it highlights everything that you spoke about. You spoke about the passionate teachers and those that just end up in the profession by default, and no support on the home front. But I hope we will talk again sometime in the future. Thank you indeed for your thoughts on this very important issue. Thabo Malibo, PhD candidate ecology at Northwest University. Lovely talking to you. Good day.
Thanks a lot, Julie, and have a lovely day.